Right, hello and welcome to another episode of FPV OE. My name's Emmanuel and we have another lovely dreary day in England. I'm going to be going out and doing my 1 month review of the DJI Avata 2, and so it's not so boring, I'm going to just be flying around and doing some recording while I'm giving my review on pros and cons of different aspects of it. So I should really turn this on before I start doing all this, but I will turn it on now. Yeah, so as I say, I'm going to do pros and cons. For those of you that don't know, I'm a complete, well, I say complete newbie. I've been flying for about a month now, FPV drones. Never had one before, so this is my first one, and it'll just be a review of what I've experienced over the month with it. Like I say, I'll do pros, cons, just go through them. I did have a whole list written down on my phone, which doesn't help because I'm using my phone to record. And also I'm going to be wearing goggles, so I won't be able to read it anyway. So I'm just going to be doing it off of memory, so it might be a bit jumbled, but it will hopefully be alright. So let me just set this off into the air. Right, and here we go. Let me just put it into sport mode. So as I say, I'm going to start with the pros that I found with this. So the first thing I've been harping on about the whole time I've had it is obviously the DJI RC Motion 3. It is just amazing and so easy to use. It just makes flying it out of the box so simple. If you've seen my video where I was flying around that construction yard, I think that was my third time flying it. And as you can see how I'm flying around there, it's just not something you'd expect for someone who's been flying it for about an hour. So yeah, so it's really good. So the DJI RC Motion 3 is a really good reason why you should consider getting the DJI Avata 2, because as I say, it just makes flying it and learning with it so easy. Another really good thing I find, I've had a few knocks with it. I've been flying around my garden and just having a few minor crashes in the garden, but I can safely say it's not even scuffed. Like, I can't even see a mark on it. So it's durable. It's actually a really durable aircraft. I think most other FPVs you build yourself might be a bit more flimsy and they may not come with like propeller guards and stuff that the Avata 2 does. But thankfully this does. Ooh, there's a whole bunch of birds over there. Thankfully this does, so it makes it, I say, it makes it really easy to fly with, and just obviously you don't have to be as worried. And going on from that, as it's a DJI obviously aircraft, you can buy the DJI Refresh. For those of you that don't know what it is, DJI Refresh is basically like insurance for your drone. So if you crash it, have an accident, like it flies away or drops into the river or something, then you can be rest assured that DJI will replace it. I think you just have to send them like the last kind of like 30 seconds footage or something you had, which the goggles record anyway, and then you send it off to them and they use that to process your claim and you get it back. So that kind of whole bundle aspect of it is really, really good. Another good reason for it is, I say, the actual camera quality on this is amazing. So obviously I'm new to FPV, I've been watching loads of FPV videos online, and I'm not a videographer or photographer or anything like that, but from looking at the camera quality you get on this compared to some other FPV drones I've seen, the footage is really, really good. So like, it's just really clear. You can record up to 4K. I think it's 60 frames per second. I'd have to double check that, but it's really good camera quality, and that is another really good thing for it. I say the whole bundle of the Avata and the DJI and like the goggles and everything uses the Neo 4 transmission as well, which is actually meant to be really clear. That will take me actually onto a negative, because even though it's really clear, I do find I struggle with it. I seem to have quite a lot of interference when I'm flying around with the 04. It just seems to cut out randomly at sometimes. I don't know if it's just mine or if it's because I'm flying around trees and stuff like that, but yeah, it just really makes, sometimes I'm a bit more cautious because it's suddenly glitching and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go too close to anything, because if it's glitching and it suddenly ends up in a bush, then I've obviously had an accident with it. But so yeah, so that's why my main reasons I think for the DJI Avata 2, as I say, it's just a great drone. It's really fun to fly. It's really easy to say with the RC3. But that will also take me on to now my list of negatives I found with it. So the RC3, as I say, it's really easy to fly with it. You can get it out of the box and just take off and head off into the sky. But it's also, I find, really lacks precision. Like if you're flying in kind of smaller spaces with a bit of pace, it's difficult to say because I say I've never flown FPV drones before until this, but when I see it and I see other videos, they just seem to be a lot more precise and they're turning a lot quicker, and that's something I found you can't really do with the Avata 2 in like tight spaces. It's just really, it turns really well, but not as I feel you would turn if you were using a manual control. So that's another thing with it. And also I found it really hard to do stuff like orbits. I'll try and do it now for you. So you have to do like a slide with it, but also turn it at the same time. And I just find it really awkward to be able to do like an orbit. As you can see, I mean, this is one's actually coming out slightly all right, but I find it really hard to be able to do an orbit with it. It just kind of feels unnatural, and you're kind of like twisting your hand and then your hand reaches the limit. So yeah, it just kind of makes it more awkward to when you're doing those sort of things. As I say, getting out of the box and flying it's amazing, but actually when you want to start doing more precise stuff and using it in like tighter spaces, for me, I think it's not really that good. As I say, I haven't used a manual controller yet. That is coming up, I've received that, but I just find it just makes it a bit more difficult to actually do those tight maneuvers. Going on to that, I say I've tried flying this indoor, and the GPS is just non-existent pretty much. I don't know if it's like that because you take off indoors, or if it's I don't know if it's just because it's indoors, but when I've flown it indoors, there's no GPS, especially when you're using the Motion 3, so therefore it's really unstable, it's hard to like hover. But again, that might just be because of the RC3. If you use the FPV3, I think you don't have any GPS or anything like that holding it steady, so that wouldn't be a problem because you're obviously doing it yourself. So yeah, it's kind of, so that's another kind of thing. The indoor flight I found hasn't been great. Again, now I don't know, I'll try and record. I'm not sure if it will record the video into like interruptions on my goggles, but I've been getting quite a bit of interference for some reason, and there's nothing really in between me. I'm where you can see that H is over there. Well, actually I'm a bit further back than that. I don't know where that H is over there, but yeah, so it's just been having some interference with it, and yeah, so it's just not great in that sense. Another thing I will say is battery life. So the battery life says it's 23 minutes, I think they say, but as you can see, I've been flying for about 6 minutes now, 6.5 minutes, and we're down at 38%. So fair enough, I'm flying in sport mode. I've literally had my finger down almost the whole time, but it's definitely not a 23-minute battery life, especially if you're flying in sport mode. Maybe if you're flying in normal or in beginner mode and just flying around in little circles, you might get that 23 minutes, but it's definitely not 23 minutes of flying full speed. This is in sport mode. So actually, if you were using the FPV3 controller, the drone would fly even faster. So yeah, your battery time, I'm not sure what that would be. I haven't flown it with that yet, but it'll be interesting to see what that is, because I say I'm down at 31% and we're now at 7 minutes, so it's definitely not going to hit that 10-minute marker, I don't think. So again, that sadly is another thing, the battery life. I don't think battery life on FPV drones are amazing anyway, and obviously the Avata is quite weighty for an FPV drone, but yeah, I think it was exaggerated quite a bit when they put it down as 23, unfortunately. There was another negative I had, which I can now not remind myself of. Hopefully it'll come back to me before I finish this. But yeah, that's the main sort of things I found with it in terms of it. But otherwise, the Avata I think is a really, really good beginner drone. As you can see there, it's going to start coming back. I need to press the mode button to cancel it because it wants to return to home because the battery is now at 24%. No, there we go. All right, I've cancelled that, so we'll carry on. So yeah, so that's the battery is one thing. Obviously, so I had the battery, the precision of the control. There was something else. I will come back to this afterwards and add a bit on at the end if I do not remember. As I say, unfortunately. Oh, Easy Acro. So Easy Acro. Okay, so it's amazing that it does Easy Acro. I say if you've seen it before, it does all of it. But what annoys me more than anything is that you cannot do Easy Acro in sport mode. So it's all good and well flying around doing like the drifts and the power loops and stuff, but if you really wanted to have like a fast-paced action video where you're like shooting past something at like 34 miles per hour or so and then doing a drift, you can't do that because it only allows you to do it in normal mode. I'm not sure why. I guess maybe it's something to do with conserving battery power, but that is something that unfortunately is I think, quite a negative. Like, you should be able to do it in sport mode as well, because if you were doing this in manual, you'd be able to do all the moves with all you want. So I just think that's something they should definitely implement. Put sports mode in easy acro and then make them be able to be used together, because yeah, it's just something that's a bit of a negative, because you can't get those fast action shots you want with it. But otherwise, final review of it, the Avata 2 is an amazing drone. I love it. It's really fun to fly. As I say, it's slowed down a lot at the moment, I'm guessing, because of the fact that the battery's low. So I'm going to start bringing it back to me. But yeah, it's definitely something I would recommend. My next video, I'm planning to go and fly around some viaducts, because everywhere I've flown so far has actually been quite dreary and the weather has been terrible. So my footage has not been the most cinematic or appealing to watch. But I want to get some better footage. I'm going to fly with the viaduct using this RC3, and that's probably going to be one of my last flights with it, because after that I'm going to switch to the FPV3 controller and start learning with that. So let me bring it back, if I can even see where I am, because for some reason the home button, oh, it's landing. So it's turning off because it's saying it's too low. It's not far away from me. It's from, I think it's about maybe 20 meters walk. Right, just thought I would throw this in at the end. So the drone died in the middle of the field. I thought it wasn't that far away. To be fair, it wasn't. But a word of warning, if it lands, be prepared. You can put on the ESC beeping to help find it, because I was struggling to find it in the field. It was just blending in with all the rubbish on the ground, basically, and the grass and stuff. But thankfully the ESC beeping led me to it, so you can put that on from the settings. So just be aware of that. If you are running low on battery, you can turn it on if it lands automatically. So I will end the video there. This is my review of the DJI Avata 2. Great drone. Has some negatives. It's definitely better, and I think it will get better with the FPV3 controller. So that's something I'm going to look into. I'll be using eventually. So once I've been using that, I'll give another review. Hopefully a 2-month, 3-month probably, because I won't probably be able to fly it very well. But I will get that up, and yeah, so next video I say some slightly better footage with viaducts. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on FPV OE.